So a lot of fans have been critical of Mike McCarthy in terms of his game planning, certain decisions, maybe not being aggressive enough, which a lot of Packer fans were critical of him too when he was over there too. What do you think of his coaching job so far this year in terms of improving from last?
I don't know if I'm president. I might be like Secretary of State of Mike McCarthy's fan club, I guess. I'm a big fan, and some of that is he's not Jason Garrett, and it's not hard to win over a Cowboys.
I like Jason Garrett.
That's probably all of it.
Jason Garrett, phenomenal human being.
Yes.
I mean, there's no question about it. I would love, if my son grows up to be half the man Jason Garrett is. I mean, I've done a great job, but just not a great football coach. And I think Mike McCarthy, he came from the Packers, and everybody looks at the Packers and they're this NFL blue blood. And so people think the Packers are the same thing as the Cowboys. Randall Cobb, after his first game with the Cowboys, post game in the locker room said, this is like a playoff game in Green Bay. Like the number of people that are here, this is insane. And so it is a different world. And I do think that early on, McCarthy maybe put his foot in his mouth a couple of times when he touted himself as this like analytics guy. He kind of pounded his chest at certain moments. And I don't know that he totally and fully understood the wave of criticism that can come with being the Dallas Cowboys head coach. I do think he has learned to understand that. I do think that unlike his predecessor, he has, clapped back at Jerry Jones in certain moments and not like in a super fighty critical way. When Tyron Smith or when Lyle Collins, was suspended earlier this season, Jerry Jones does 2 local radio hits every single week. Every week he jumps on the radio twice to talk about the team. And he comes out, he says, Terrence Steele is going to be starting for us at right tackle this week. Mike McCarthy takes the podium like 10 minutes later in real time. He's asked, Jerry just said this, is that true? He said, we haven't decided who's going to be right tackle yet this week. And that was something Jason Garrett never did. And it's because he never had the currency to do it. I mean, Mike McCarthy does. And I think, a lot of general NFL fans are never going to ever give Mike McCarthy any shred of credibility or credit in any kind of way because he lost a PR battle to Aaron Rodgers. And, that's going to stick with him for the rest of his career for some people. You look at, I loved what John Harbaugh said this past week about going for 2 when they were down by 15 points, they scored the touchdown, and all these people freak out and they can't understand what's happening. And he explains it, and everybody's like, oh, you know what? This genius, John Harbaugh, he's awesome. Mike McCarthy did the exact same thing last year against the Atlanta Falcons when the Cowboys came back and beat them, and he got killed for it. Nobody understood it. I mean, and I think some of that is people see what they want to see. People see John Harbaugh. They like John Harbaugh, so they're kind of justifying or confirming their priors. And people's priors on Mike McCarthy is that he's this oaf. He has no idea what he's doing, but he really does bring a sense of credibility and legitimacy to this team. They have not really fallen out when he's had everybody to work with. Last season was awful, and everybody dealt with COVID last year in the first season under it. Mike McCarthy lost his quarterback. He lost both of his tackles. He had a middle linebacker that couldn't stay healthy. And not that life is in any way less important than football, because life trumps all. He lost a lot of friends. Ted Thompson passed away last year. Kevin Green, people he worked with in Green Bay. The Cowboys dealt with their own tragedy with the passing of Marcus Paul the week of Thanksgiving last year. It was just a really down year. So, you consider that Mike McCarthy took the entire season off in 2019 and devoted it to coming back. I have never devoted a year of my life to anything. Except for the year I took off in college, which my parents don't need to know about. But I mean, he took an entire year off, and then like on day 6 of that last year, that's thrown out the window. He completely planned how he was going to return to the NFL, and so he had to adjust on the fly. He didn't do a great job of it last year because everybody was hurt, and that made things more difficult than they had to be. But I think he has done an incredible job this year, and everybody said the take I've hated the most all season long, if I was Jerry Jones at the end of the season, I would fire Mike McCarthy and I would promote Kellen Moore because I don't want to lose Kellen Moore.
Please.
He's going to get a head coaching job, though.
I don't think so. I mean, Kellen had an opportunity to prove that he was ready to be a head coach on Thursday Night Football 2 weeks ago when the Cowboys were in New Orleans and Mike McCarthy was out due to COVID. And Kellen Moore's offense has collapsed and been awful. And some of that, onus belongs to Mike McCarthy, the same way that credit for the success belongs to Mike McCarthy as well. The reality is Kellen's in his 4th year of coaching, ever, in his life. And so, it kind of makes sense that he wouldn't necessarily be as ready for this professional job the way Mike McCarthy is. And so I think McCarthy, I think he understands, I know this is a long-winded answer, the tenor of his team. I thought the guarantee was way overblown last week, but he gets his team. He understands his team. His highest career winning percentage is in the month of December, and they are 2-0 in December. Granted, he didn't coach in the first game because it was the game he was out. This is what we expected. We expected him to bring a team that could contend, that would get to the playoffs, and that's what's happening in his first full season with Dak Prescott.
So, real quick, I want to go back to something you said a couple minutes ago about how you think the Cowboys won the Raider trade for Amari Cooper.
Oh, dude, 1,000. I can't quantify that much. Like, however much money Spider-Man No Way Home is going to make this weekend, that's the percent that the Cowboys won the Amari Cooper
It's going to be a great movie, by the way, but that's not the point here. The point here is that, do you know, had you not made that trade for Amari Cooper, you would have saved, $100-some million?
Yeah, but what are the Raiders? Are the Raiders happy to have Jonathan Abram?
No. If the Cowboys keep that pick entirely, you could have had Deebo Samuel, you realize.
I don't think, that's like
Deebo
saying,
Samuel wasn't going to go in the first round.
You draft a receiver. He was the best receiver there.
You could have, again, if you're playing hindsight with everything, then
I'm just saying
it's not a fair fight. But that trade
to me is a loss. Deebo Samuel is better than Amari Cooper is now.
Everybody thought DK Metcalf was going to be the first receiver off the board, and he went in the second round. They weren't going high in that draft.
The whole league was wrong about DK Metcalf outside of Pete Carroll's crazy ass. But anyway, that wasn't my question. I just wanted to throw a little jab at Cowboy fans since you guys are the most obnoxious fans on the planet. But they are. He knows it. He might not be part of that group, but he knows it.
Oh, I'm definitely part of that group. This is a team that took their own benches, last week to Washington, and it made national news. That would be super annoying if I was a fan of anybody else. It would be super annoying that they're visible and in the front of everything. We're about to see a lot of the Cowboys. They're playing at noon this week, but next week they're on Sunday Night Football against the Washington football team. The week after that, they play the Arizona Cardinals. And if you don't think that game's getting all the ratings in the world, I don't know if you know this or not, that you will hear this quote 1,000 times in 2 weeks. Over the offseason, Kyler Murray, obviously a Texas native, was asked whether or not he grew up a Cowboys fan, and he said he did not. And he was asked why, and he said because when he was growing up, they were always ass. So that will be replayed a lot of times in 2 weeks when they're getting.
And it's funny that you brought that up because my question to you is actually about the man that's going to be chasing him around. Defensive Rookie of the Year this year, possibly Defensive Player of this year, Micah Parsons has helped that defense obviously go from trash to treasure. Just
I don't know about that.
Give him a little bit more credit than I already have.
I don't know how, honestly. The thesaurus has gotten a lot of work in trying to praise Micah Parsons this season. He's a superstar. He's a freak. He's the fastest kid alive. As Seth Rogen said in Superbad, however long ago. He is unreal. And I don't care what any Cowboys fan tells you. You mentioned it there. A lot of Cowboys fans are obnoxious, and they'll say, I wanted Parsons from day one. They're all full of it. There's no way. Every Cowboys fan wanted J.C. Horn or Patrick Surtain because the secondary was awful last year. And that's okay. It's okay to admit that you
both great
wanted
players
that.
too.
Yeah, because that made sense. That's what this defense needed. And the Cowboys had at the time the 10th pick. They wound up trading back with Philly. But it's okay because a linebacker at 10 is not the best utilization of resources the way a running back at 4 is not. And so, when the Cowboys got wiped out and they traded back, we had a live show going on our YouTube channel. And I said to everybody watch it, so what do you want to do? And it was like comment after comment, trade back. Everybody was panicking. Literally worst case scenario. And is it awesome that it worked out? Totally. It's awesome. I wouldn't rather have it any other way. But this is like if you had asked everybody to list the 100 plans that they wanted come draft night, this was plan 100. Nobody wanted this, and nobody expected this. I don't think
you guys would have had plan 100.
He has been incredible. And last week was really the first time that they got to use him the way they wanted to. All season long, somebody's been hurt. Somebody's been on COVID. The Cowboys have had to play him so many places out of necessity. Last week against Washington was the first time that Dan Quinn had everybody available and could therefore use him the way he intended to. And obviously he had a great game.
Well, before we let you go, why don't you tell the fans how they can find you on social media? I think you're awesome, and I am not a Cowboys fan, and you took shots at my Jets. You took shots at their Giants, but it's okay. I still love you, man. Tell the fans how they can find you on social media.
I'm on the fence.
Oh, well, first of all, I'm obligated to say that the New York Giants have 5 losing seasons in a row since taking the boat photo.
When's the last time you won a Super Bowl, pal? We've won 2 since then.
That's okay. If my highest point of pride in my
8-8
was Eli Manning, I would not feel great about
8-8.
But I obviously bloggingtheboys.com is where all of our work lives and operates. I'm on Twitter and Instagram at RJ Ochoa. You can find anything I do there. You can listen to our podcast or watch our videos on YouTube. Just search for Blogging the Boys. Very excited to complete the season sweep of the New York not good at all at football Giants on Sunday afternoon. The New York Giants who thought hiring Jason Garrett was
I do have one more question, RJ. I do have one more question. Do you think Tony Romo was hands-on in teaching Dak how to fumble field goal kicks, or do you think Dak's just going to learn that on the fly?
I mean, Dak has never fumbled a field goal, so if we're going to do this, let's be factual.
Well, Tony Romo only did it once too, but it was a certainly bad time to do so.
You know, I don't think Tony Romo taught Dak Prescott anything. I think that is actually a misconception. People really think that Tony Romo was like in Dak's ear like Cyrano in 2016, and in reality, the true like mentor to Dak in 2016, if there was one, was Mark Sanchez. That was the dude who
now the truth comes out. Oh, man, don't ever say that sentence again.
I'm a Jet fan. I'm a Jet fan.
So we're going to see Dak run into Travis Frederick's ass? Is that what you're telling me?
Yeah. If you go back and watch the Cowboys, they lost the game, but their playoff loss to the Packers in 2016. Everybody remembers the game, the Jared Cook 3rd and 20 play. But if you go back and watch, the Cowboys kick a field goal to tie it late in the game. And that's the only time I've ever seen Dak be nervous. He actually didn't watch. He didn't watch on the sideline. He kept his back to the field, and the only person with him was Mark Sanchez. And again, this sounds stupid, but at the time, this was a real thing. Mark, who at the time in 2016 had already his NFL prime was behind him, and he would talk about how after every game when the Cowboys were winning all those games in a row, he would sit Dak down and he would tell Dak, just take a couple of minutes and go think to yourself and appreciate what you're doing and what is happening, because this is not normal. This isn't how it is in the NFL. What you're doing is very, very, very special, which obviously, as you know, it was for the Jets in 2009 and 2010. And that's, that was a really valuable, thing for Dak Prescott. Mark Sanchez was very important in Dak's growth at that time in his career.
Well, RJ, I really appreciate it. I am not going to take shots at you like the Giant fans. I am a Jet fan. And you did mention Mark Sanchez.
He didn't single you out.
That's fine. I do remember the Mark Sanchez butt fumble. That's definitely not going to go out of my thoughts forever of my life. That's for sure. But we definitely like to get you on before the playoffs, 3-4 weeks down the road. I do believe the Cowboys are going to get in. They're going to win the division unless a catastrophical meltdown and somehow Washington takes over first place. I don't think that's going to happen. I think they're the better team in the division, but I'd love to get you on again if we really appreciate you showing up and giving us your time.
Totally. Anytime. I would love to. Just let me know when. I agree with you. Cowboys going to win the NFC East. Giants going to finish last. Again, obligated to say that. Obligated to say Spider-Man No Way Home. If you're going to watch it, enjoy. And last thing, MetLife Stadium belongs to the New York Jets.
I love this guy.
That's how you know he's not a New Yorker, because no one on the planet says that.